Croeso channel of Light Fluid. It's time for another short horror story on the channel right now. But before we do that, as always, I'd like to thank all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon, and give a quick mention to my top patrons, who are Andy Peng, Samuto, Omar, Big Booty Judy, Nova Starbun, Harvest Mouse Productions, Burnt Toast, Kartek, Govers Visser, Legacy Bucciarati, Mark Huskerton, Bastion, Baron Hall, Tiger Cub, Ida Corval, Anubis Silverwind, Dissonance, Grizz, Spiderling, Kopi, Cindy Dragowolf, Marcus, Evan King, Exact, Aaron Fox, and Mohammed Al-Zamal. Special thanks to them. And now, are you sitting comfortably? You may not be for long. Alburquerque Tapes by MC Morrado. September 1996. Another day of my boring life wasted away working behind the counter at Max Video, which is a dumb name for a video rental store anyway. But I can't complain since I'm getting paid to scan barcodes and sort VHS tapes in alphabetical order. The life of a broke 18-year-old coyote like me is nothing special to anyone, even in downtown Albuquerque, where the city is mostly surrounded by the New Mexico desert. "Ricky, what did I tell you about sleeping on the job?" The coarse voice of my boss woke me up, with almost screeching vocals burned away by the embers of many cigarettes. "Huh? What? Oh, sorry, Mr. Holt," I said with apologetic embarrassment, but mostly from the fear of getting fired from another job. $5 an hour still pays a little more than flipping burgers, but not by much. "Can't have my business look bad to customers over you being a lazy Mexican," Mr. Holt fumed before the chubby rabbit stomped back towards his private office and slammed the solid steel door. "Whatever, Godito," I mumbled to myself, completely unfazed and wanting to get back to my nap. I'm not lazy. I'm productive. I haven't been any customers in over an hour. I already sorted the tapes on the shelves. Why even bother pretending to be busy? The only thing I'm looking for is when I get to go home when the clock strikes 5 p.m. Mr. Holt is a bit of a jerk, but not really in an entirely mean-spirited way. He really doesn't care as long as I at least look busy. The day ticks by faster working a dead-end job like this, ringing up customers who are buying or renting or returning movie tapes. Mr. Holt's daughter, a feline janitor, she doesn't really talk, as I sometimes see her sweeping and polishing the tile floor with a buffing machine, maybe once or twice a day. Ignoring everything, she listens to the old Walkman on her waist belt and headphones in with the volume turned up. I've been working here for just over a year. I still don't know her name. She's the only other employee in this small video rental store, slightly smaller than a Blockbuster in square footage. She doesn't like being bothered, and also doesn't talk to anyone. The only thing close to words I heard of the feline's mouth was when she was humming the beat of a Madonna song. I stood behind the counter and sometimes took a seat in a chair while sorting tapes into boxes. A familiar buzz of yellow and fluorescent lighting above drowned itself out in my mind. When break time finally came at noon, I took the chance to look through some dusty tapes in a box labelled junk, which is full of cheesy B-movies no one wants to rent or buy. At least they give me a few laughs when I watch them on the TV sitting to my left on the other part of the counter. Sometimes, but rarely, Mr. Holt's daughter will sneak a glance or two at what I'm watching today on break as she cleans. I usually pay no attention to it, just take it that she likes watching B-movies to riff on them also. When break time was over, I still watched a sci-fi B-movie or the latest box office hit recently released on VHS, and paused the movie whenever a customer came to the counter. My favourite tapes in my secret personal collection are old Frank Skylark comedy specials and collector's editions with cut content from my favourite comedian I watched since I was a little kid. And Frank Skylark as a hyena almost old enough to be my own padre. These tapes bring a smile to my muzzle, no matter how many times I watched them. I remember 3 years ago, all the tabloid magazines and news networks were in a panic since Frank Skylark completely vanished from the public eye one day without warning. Nobody has seen or heard from that comedian since then. Many of the tabloid magazines have started conspiracy theories, believing Frank Skylark died one way or another, with one absurd theory thinking the comedian was abducted by aliens. Ringing up customers and knowing how to work a register is second nature to me. Hours melt away faster than an ice cream cone in desert heat. I almost jumped from my seat when I saw the clock strike 5 p.m. sharp. "I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Holt," I said with excitement, for almost jumping over the counter and leaving out the tinted front doors. Walking down the sidewalk made me resist the urge to do a little victory dance that the workday is over. I turned the corner to walk in a small alley between two stucco storefronts, one of them being Max Video. The quiet parking lot behind the storefront has some trash and cigarette butts laying around as usual. I found my car and got into the driver's seat to listen to the radio in peace for a moment. I started my beige 89 VW Jetta and heard its diesel four-banger come to life. I put it into gear and manoeuvred out of the parking lot, getting onto the rush hour city roads. Going along the less travelled neighbourhood roads to avoid city traffic is my favourite and normal route home. I don't have to shift gears as much, which can be tiring sometimes with a stick shift. 6 miles later I stopped my car on the street and got out of the sedan, hearing the driver's door slam shut with a ka-thunk. Walking back into my small apartment was only a routine I've become even more familiar with in the life of a working adult. No roommates, no little brothers and sisters to annoy me, not even a girlfriend at home waiting for me. Just me and nobody else. Almost all my friends from high school have either moved away or forgotten I even exist. The only friend I have left is a stoner who lives in the apartment next door. The only benefit of graduating early is I have more time to work and scrape together 2 nickels at least. I searched the living room shelves of my many VHS tapes I collected over the course of working at the video store. Well over 100 movies and tapes of TV shows I salvaged from the junk box, for reasons due to the cases or the tapes themselves being deemed too damaged by Mr. Holt. The only benefit of working in that video rental store, besides not going homeless, is Mr. Holt lets me take as many tapes as I want from the junk box behind the counter. It indirectly caused me to be a walking encyclopedia of sci-fi, cartoons, and everything related to worlds behind a TV screen. I even have the Michael Jackson Moonwalker VHS tape in mint condition on a shelf, sealed in a plastic bag to preserve it. Mr. Holt would call me a pack rat, but I prefer the term collector, with tapes neatly organised on shelves and not cluttering anything. I switched on the TV in the living room before heading to the kitchen, where I proceeded to make myself a few bologna and mustard sandwiches for dinner, and grabbed a bag of chips to go with it. Another day of living okay on my own. The next morning at the video store, 10:37 a.m, I was busy sorting tapes on shelves in alphabetical order and by genre in their respective sections. In a way, it gives me a feeling of being a modern-day librarian. Mr. Holt's daughter, as usual, ignored everything and everyone with their headphones in, and a Walkman playing music as the feline cleaned the floor and wiped things down. "Ricky, come over here. I have to show you something," Mr. Holt shouted from across his store, getting my attention, almost startling me. Was I in trouble for something? I didn't steal anything and never have. I hesitantly marched into Mr. Holt's office where the chubby rabbit stood behind his desk with a cardboard box that looked like it had been left out in the rain. It hasn't rained in almost a week in this part of New Mexico. Yes, sir? I say out of mostly confusion as to what I'm even looking at. "Well, I found this box next to the dumpster last night. I took out the tapes I could salvage, ones presentable to customers anyway. Most of the tapes are too weather damaged to rent or even sell." Mr. Holt sighed to the tone of, "What a damn shame, anyway." "Can I take a look at those?" I thought out loud, wondering why my inner movie nerd wants to know more. "They're all yours. Take 'em. Figured you'd want them. Why do you think I called you here?" Mr. Holt brushed me off as the rabbit sat down at his desk to keep watching the cameras. "Oh, thanks, sir. Can I go put these in my car?" I asked, not wanting to lose a box from some kid secretly stealing a tape or two behind the counter. "Yeah, sure. Be quick about it," Mr. Holt says, not really in a hurry himself. I took this chance, picking up the box with one arm and leaving to the back parking lot behind Max Video, and put the box of tapes into the trunk of my car before rushing back inside the video store to continue my shift. My shift went as normal, was ringing at one customer after another on this rather busy work day. That didn't matter. I was excited to see what was on those tapes in that box later. When 5 p.m. hit, I left the video store and waved Mr. Holt goodbye. The drive home was antsy. I was excited like I was about to open a Christmas present when I was a kid living with my family. Upon arriving home, I got out of the car and carried the weathered box inside my apartment as quickly as I could. Time to find something valuable in this thing. I talked to myself as I plopped the cardboard box onto the living room table. Searching through the box, I found some movies where the cases are a bit damaged by rain, with ink that bled all over, and the hard paper felt wavy in the cases of those rain-damaged tapes. Most of the tapes themselves appear to be in playable condition. Huh? Doesn't look like Mr. Holt took a lot of tapes. The box is still mostly full of VHS tapes in various conditions, with a couple of them being broken in half. Maybe whoever left the box behind the dumpster where I work probably couldn't sell these at a yard sale. A lot of the tapes are Western movies with a few Clint Eastwood classics, some kids' cartoons in plastic cases, and many rare editions of movie tapes with their cases in sorry weather conditions. I hit the little jackpot. I spent the night assessing the condition of tapes by playing one after another in the VCR and placing the keepers in one of my living room shelves. There were some plastic cases with no tapes in them, destroyed tapes, and things definitely stolen from a Blockbuster. Most of the tapes were salvageable and perfectly watchable. I sped up the process of checking the tapes with rewinding and fast-forwarding repeatedly, or playing movies at more than twice the speed of normal playback to streamline the process. Tapes that were corrupted or destroyed were simply thrown in the trash. 10:39 p.m. rolled around. I was on my last tape and it was sitting on the living room table by itself. One last tape for the night, then I'm going to bed. By this point I'd already thrown at the box these tapes came in. I picked up the plastic case for tape and inspected it. The plastic case didn't look too out of the ordinary, apart from strangely being in the best condition of the entire box. It looks like something my little sister would watch, telling by the cover art and cartoon drawings on the front and back of it. Miss Lucy and Friends. Let's be friends forever. The title read on the front of the case in the font of its decade. Sinolation Inc., copyright 1987. Small golden yellow letters read on the bottom left corner from some company I never heard of. I turned to inspect the back of the case to find no description or anything besides more of the cover art. Not even a barcode. Never seen anything remotely like this tape in any store I've been to. Strange. Curious, I opened the case to see a mint condition tape that even smells brand new. Miss Lucy and Friends, Episode 1. The black and white sticker read on the tape with Sinolation Inc., copyright 1987 on the bottom. I inserted the tape into the VCR and waited for it to play. Slightly grainy white noise started to play as the blue screen read, Demo tape, not for sale or rental. This tape is for promotional purposes only. Copyright Sinolation Inc. In geometric white lettering seemingly typed from a computer. Then the screen glitched out into static and broken garbled audio. Didn't realize I got a demo tape. Those are unbelievably rare. The screen soon cut to a cartoon intro with clear audio. The intro is an overly catchy beat involving a trombone and flute, along with the voice of a woman singing melodically and contributing to a slow-paced song that doesn't have any words to it. 20 seconds later, the intro came to a stop to show the screen Miss Lucy and Friends in silver balloon-like font in front of a detailed drawing depicting a sunrise by a beach. When the episode finally started, I could tell the show's demographic was 5 to 9-year-olds. The animation looks completely hand-drawn, in more detail than most cartoon movies in regards to the backgrounds for scenes. At this point I wanted to know who the animators were, whereas there were no credits during the intro. Hi, I'm Lucy. Do you want to play? Yes, you do. The ever so slightly grainy voice of a young girl boomed as the screen focused on the 3D render of a human girl with a brown ponytail and striped pink t-shirt and tan pants. I can tell this is a very early experiment with computer animation. It's rough, which can be described in the nicest of words. Lucy speaking doesn't line up with her corresponding mouth animation. The 3D character stands out compared to the 2D backgrounds. Lucy said before the background changed from a playground somewhere to inside of a house where regular background music ripped from another cartoon played. Lucy's unnatural, almost robotic movements remind me of how computer animation has come a long way since 1987. How many cookies are in the cookie jar? Lucy's loud and over-enthusiastic voice booms through the television speakers. An animation showed a cookie jar being displayed with 5 cookies on a counter. 4 blank dash marks appeared as if expecting an answer. I can feel the screen staring back. 7, I jokingly exclaimed, answering wrong on purpose and thinking nothing of it. The music stopped. How many cookies are in the cookie jar? Lucy repeated, composure wavering, almost offended, looking at me with those soulless, rendered eyes. 5? I answered in stunned confusion. Correct! Lucy shouted. I watched a 3D human move from the scene on the screen to a sort of living room inside a cartoon house. How did it hear me? I jolted up from my seat, wondering if there's a hidden microphone or camera. Someone has to be playing a joke on me, right? I began frantically searching every room inside and out, searching for any hidden cameras or microphones, only coming up empty-handed. While looking behind my TV, I can only see that my VCR is the only thing still hooked up to it in the living room. What the... How? I sputtered, still pressing every button on the VCR imaginable to see that the tape is still playing regardless. Can you say lamp? Lucy spoke in that cheerful, over-enthusiastic voice, eyes not blinking anymore, staring as I moved to take a seat in the living room chair again. No, I replied after a long pause, unnerved, ready to look behind my shoulder. Can you say lamp? Lucy says again, infuriated with restrained anger. The background music continued playing as normal, while the 3D figure just stared. Lamp, I hesitantly responded, internally cringing. I almost jumped, seeing the living room lamp in my apartment turn off by itself. I rushed over to turn it back on before sitting down again. What is this? Time to get Grandma's dog from the backyard. Lucy's voice boomed from the TV for the 3D figure moved awkwardly and repeated walking animation till the scene transitioned to a scene behind a house in a small backyard surrounded by a white picket fence. Oh boy, it's a good thing you're here, Lucy. Grandma forgot to give me some kibble. An exaggerated, drawn-out voice, stitched together by what sounds like separate pieces of dialogue, came from a poorly rendered 3D abomination of a brown feral dog with a red collar. Sonny, oh you, did you forget your dog bowl again? Lucy reiterated in an overacted tone meant to talk to 5-year-olds with. Can you find Sonny's dog bowl? The overly cheery voice of Lucy addressed me, for the 3D figure stared at me with those eyes, following my every move. This time there aren't any blanks to spell out or say a word. I got up from my seat to inspect the TV up close. What am I even supposed to do here? There's a bright 2D drawing of a blue dog bowl into the porch in the normal animated background. Where's the dog bowl? Lucy repeated, growing impatient by the minute. I pointed my finger on the screen to the dog bowl. Huh? What am I even touching? The screen feels wet like rubbery water. My hand is still dry. Great! Now Sonny can eat his dog food! Lucy shouted with joy as I jerked my hand away from the screen. I watched the animation of Sonny bobbing his head up and down, trying to imitate eating of that blue dog bowl. In the meantime, I sat back down in my living room chair, not taking my eyes off the TV. Thanks, Lucy. That was some good kibble. Sonny spoke almost robotically with pieced together words forming a sentence. Without warning, the tape glitched out for ejecting itself from the VCR. I touched the TV again and the screen only showed static. It was hard and normal again, with my hand feeling the static electricity coming off of it. Upon picking up the strange tape, it feels almost ice cold to the touch. It's cold? I mumbled to myself, confused and unnerved, putting away the tape back in its case on the living room table. I didn't even want to touch it. The next morning at work, I was tired from hardly getting any sleep last night. 11:33 a.m, the clock behind the counter read. Max Video isn't as busy as it was yesterday. So far, only a handful of customers stopped by to return tapes or get some candy bars. I took the time I had to myself to catch up on some sleep. While dreaming, I fantasized about not having to work in this place and be someone in a Miami mansion, rolling around in low riders on the street. Hey, Ricky, you up? A familiar golden retriever coughed, stirring me from my sleep. Lee, what are you doing here? I yawned, wondering why my next-door neighbour decided to visit me while I'm working. Leaf, that golden retriever's real name is Maverick, but everyone calls him Leaf. Well, that canine can smoke a bale of weed a day. Nothing much. Well, they're yoga tapes. Leaf muttered tiredly as he walked off somewhere searching the shelves. I could still smell what he's smoking. They're on shelf 13, I hollered, and Leaf gave a thumbs up in response as his gaze was focused on skimming through shelves. I've known Leaf since my 10th grade of high school, and at the time he was a 12th grade senior, so we weren't all that close when we first got to know each other, so he was 2 years older than myself and graduated way before I did. Leaf has gone to jail twice for having an ounce of weed on him. He's a scatterbrained mess, the only thing close to a friend I have in this world. I've known that golden retriever for so long, but only know his name. Whenever I try to ask if he has any family or relatives, he gets uneasy and deflects the question entirely. I'm not going to pressure him. I like his company. We play video games together in his apartment every once in a while. All right, some candy bars for me. I got the munchies. Leaf says he plopped 3 yoga tapes and 14 candy bars past their expiration date on the counter. I'll spot you on the candy. I whispered the golden retriever so the cameras couldn't hear while I rang up the purchase, then walk out with 3 candy bars. I'm not going to cover the cost of the candy, just a mindful secret with the golden retriever. You're the man. Leaf giggled, looking at me with bloodshot and tired eyes for he left the video store with 3 tapes and a bag of free expired candy. Mr. Holt's daughter got to clean the floor at the precise time of 12 p.m. sharp, not a minute later, not a second sooner. The feline is always consistent with the clock, never has been late or early for as long as I've worked here. She works like a well-oiled machine with a Walkman playing some music and her headphones in. I don't have any romantic feelings towards her or anyone. All I want is a friend. She acts like I'm not even here. She's not rude, she doesn't even acknowledge my existence. In a way, it makes working in Max Video all the more lonely and humdrum. I don't even know what to do after work, besides nothing. Living on my own doesn't make much of a difference when I was living with my family. I wasn't the favourite child anyway. Being the oldest of 6 siblings, nobody ever gave me the time of day unless it was my mom swearing at me in Spanish for not cleaning my room. Dad thought I was a fag for not having a girlfriend in high school. Truth is, relationships are not my thing. Sitting behind the counter, waiting to ring up any customers if there are any. Watching movie after movie by picking up a tape from the VCR to watch on the counter's TV distracted me from the boring shift. While an action movie was playing on the TV, I looked slightly to the left out of the corner of my eye to see a cloaked figure standing still in front of the tinted windows. I pretended not to notice the figure, thinking he was staring at me. The figure was wearing only a torn and dirty grey trench coat, a dirt-covered dark grey fedora, and crusty bandages wrapped around its head, so I can tell what species it was. Its bare foot and completely hairless bare legs were unnaturally bony with melted grey skin. What is that thing? I rubbed my dry eyes only if the figure outside had be gone without a sound in the blink of an eye. Was that thing real? No, it couldn't be. Right? I got back to watching movies for hours on end, ringing up maybe 1 or 2 customers. Tape after tape of every no movie on store shelves today kept my mind occupied. Odd, I hadn't seen much of Mr. Holt today so far. The rabbit usually checks on me in person every few hours or so, but there was no sign of him today. Wonder where a chubby rabbit would go off to. When 5 p.m. hit, I left the video store and began my short drive home. In the car, listening to the radio, all I can think of is a constant loop. Get up, shower, go to work, drive home, watch TV, make myself dinner, go to sleep, rinse and repeat. Time flies too fast with a routine. No matter how hard I try, it's impossible to fully snap out of. No matter what day it is, every single day is the same except for the weekends. Someone could watch 2 days of my life on and off work with fast forward and rewind. They wouldn't tell the difference anyway. Upon arriving outside the apartment building with its stucco exterior matching almost all the other nearby buildings, I parked my car on the street curb and got out. Another day, another dime. Telling by the dark clouds outside it was going to rain soon. I was proven right when a few raindrops landed on my muzzle. Didn't waste any time getting back inside my cosy apartment for the rain really began to pick up. It doesn't rain a whole lot in Alburquerque, typically once every 1 or 2 weeks at most. Though not out of the ordinary when the city or anywhere in the ABQ areas and get rain for over a month at a time. Today, however, was different. Just as I walked into my basic but cosy living room, I noticed another plastic VHS case on the living room table beside the original Miss Lucy and Friends case. Did somebody leave this here? My apartment door was locked before I went inside. How? Why would anyone break into a place to leave a tape? My mind thinks the tape just appeared in some unknown way out of thin air. I picked up the mysterious tape case to find out it's also one of the Miss Lucy and Friends tapes. The case had the logos in the same colours and fonts, with no descriptions or credits or barcode. The casing on this stands out. No cartoon drawings to be seen. The cover art is blue all around, with the colours gradually darkening the lower it gets. The cover art is trying to depict a very early sunrise, but many things were off. I couldn't put my finger on it. I opened the case, inspected the tape to find the black and white sticker reading Miss Lucy and Friends, Episode 2, with Sinners Lurch and Inc., copyright 1987, at the bottom of the label as usual. Reluctantly I popped the tape into my VCR as the rain began coming down the hardest in years. The tape immediately started playing the wordless intro song. I don't know why I was anxiously tapping my right foot on the floor in anticipation. With the 2D background and an unfortunately familiar 3D rendering of Lucy, the rendered figure with the signature ponytail hair, tan pants, black shoes, pink and white striped shirt. Her outfit is subtly different from last time. In the last tape, Lucy's shoes were brown. Some of the differences I can't exactly pin down, instead I didn't pay attention to every detail I could at the time. Lucy, the computer rendering of a human girl, with eyes constantly watching from the TV screen, found the only barrier keeping me separated from her world. Even stranger, looking at something meant to resemble a human, as humans have been extinct for many decades prior to the tape supposedly being made. My fur bristled up a little, seeing the thing begin to talk. "Hi, I'm Lucy. Do you want to play with me?" The voice boomed from the TV, with Lucy staring with her lifeless, rendered eyes drilling into my very soul. The scene in question shows Sonny holding a 2D squirrel squirming in his mouth, so Lucy stared at me like she didn't notice. The animated background outside has an odd likeness to Santa Fe suburbs. "No!" I shuddered after a long pause from me, closing my eyes and wincing. The fur on the back of my neck began to bristle on end. Great! The fun's only starting! Lucy's voice blared in inconsistent, jittering volume. Sonny had nothing to say, clamping his jaws shut slowly until a cracking noise can be heard as the squirrel in his mouth stopped squirming. Golly, Lucy, I sure could use something to eat around here. Squirrels are yucky. Sonny replied in his pea-together voice with no consistent tone. The dead animated squirrel in his mouth disappeared. The scene changed suddenly, cutting to a scene of what looks like the episode playing out normally for a few minutes. The normal part of the episode shows a canned generic storyline, showing the message of taking care of pets or whatever to get a young child's attention. Typically I don't watch shows aimed at little kids as they're too corny for me. This is especially weird. It plays out as if something analysed kid shows in the last decade and tried to imitate the parts that made them marketable, and only coming off as robotic. The 2D animated background got gradually more detailed, ever so slightly, with every change of scene, only being far more than what most animators could draw by hand, yet still cartoony enough to not notice the change right away. Is the tape learning? Does it know what thoughts are in my head? Those 3D figures meant to be Lucy and Sonny, however, stay consistently the same in a slowly changing background, moving jerkily as the episode played along, continue to imitate what a children's show is. A gut feeling tells me something a bit is off about this tape. Very off. Golly, Lucy, what do you have there? Sonny asked after helping find firewood with a 3D rendered human. A hatchet. Can you say cut? Lucy says that overexcited, cheerful voice, head turning to face me, raising the hatchet above her head with one hand. The video glitched out before the tape ejected from the VCR by itself. I got up from my chair to pick up the tape, only to be absolutely freezing cold, with a thin layer of frost on two of its corners. It caused my hands to turn blue from hypothermia, putting the freezing tape back into its case, placing the plastic case on top of the first Miss Lucy and Friends tape. I walked over to the kitchen to run my hands under warm water in the sink. My paw pads were the coldest ever been. What was that? Why was that tape so damn cold? I thought out loud to myself, trying to make sense of the unexplainable. My hands were numb, but I felt the hot water running over them, soaking my fur. After the feeling was back in my hands and no longer cold, I turned off the sink faucet and dried my hand off with a small towel before deciding to go to bed, a little early at 8:37 p.m. Was it so late already? I watched the tape for what felt like half an hour at most after just getting off at work. None of this is right. Time itself skipped forward as I stayed the same. How? How is this even possible? Afterwards I got into the covers of my bed in nothing but a pair of sweatpants that had been cut into shorts with the help of a pair of scissors. Trying to doze off to sleep was difficult. My eyelids were getting heavier regardless. Dreaming in what I saw in my sleep is nothing like I've dreamed before. All there is nothing but warped camera feed, showing the inside of Mac's video through cracked video to yesterday. I saw myself alone in the store, preoccupied with watching movies. An indescribable sooty mist of an outline crawled along shelves. The mist-like thing stopped for a second to watch me, who didn't see that thing stalking through my place of work. Work I remember very clearly never seen it at all. Even at work watching movies past the time, my own peripheral vision is much greater than a normal person's by a large margin. Is this just a dream? Did the cameras hook themselves up to the back of my brain? Every fibre of my being is begging for answers, but in turn I get nothing but more questions on top of the strange happenings. I was woken up by the sound of the phone ringing from the kitchen. Who's calling me at 2 a.m? I groaned tiredly, rolling over in bed to look at the clock on my nightside table. After seconds contemplating myself, I reluctantly got out of bed to walk over the kitchen and picked up the wall-mounted landline telephone. Hello, Ricky, are you there? Mr. Holt's voice spoke through the phone. Mr. Holt, why are you calling me at 2 a.m? It's a bit late. I yawned out an answer, scratching my back with one hand. No, kid. The store is closed tomorrow and for the rest of the week. Think of it as a little vacation, the chubby rabbit replied hesitantly. Wait, why? I stuttered, feeling I might not get paid for a week. I wasn't feeling too good. Doc says I had to get a stent in my heart so I don't get a second heart attack. I'm all right, Mr. Holt announced enthusiastically, causing my heart to drop into my stomach. Oh, sorry to hear about that. Is that why I didn't see you at work yesterday? I pondered him over the phone, almost at a loss for words. Yeah, enjoy a long week off. Bye. He abruptly ended the conversation, also wanting to get back to sleep. Bye, I sighed, hanging up the phone. Just as I turned around to head back to my room, I began hearing light scratch at the front door. What the... I told that old lady upstairs to keep her cats in check. I thought out loud to myself, annoyed by the scratching. I begrudgingly put on a shirt and a pair of slippers before slowly walking to the front door. When I save up to move to another apartment, I'll make sure there's a no pets policy in the fine print. I cracked open the door lazily, expecting to see a bunch of feral cats roaming around, but I was so wrong. A beheaded feral German shepherd lay dead outside, lying a foot away from the front door. A blood-covered VHS tape stuck out from its gutted insides. Okay, whoever left this here, this isn't funny, I said nervously, bent over to pick up the foul, iron-smelling VHS tape. The white blood-stained sticker on the tape only reads, Episode 3, in computer-typed font. I need to show someone what's going on in the tape to show I'm not going crazy. A leaf! A golden retriever will at least listen. Just as I was about to collect the 2 previous tapes I left on the living room coffee table, I noticed they were gone and nowhere to be seen. Everything has its place in my apartment with no clutter or anything unorganised. I know for a fact I had left those 2 tapes there, but now they're gone. Oh, hell no, I sputtered weakly, skittishly rushing out of the apartment to knock on my neighbour's door with a new tape in hand. For a solid minute of repeated anxious knocking, Leaf finally answered the door. Oh, I said, if it's a noise, I can turn it down. The golden retriever answered the front door groggily, with bloodshot eyes and wearing nothing but his boxers. No, I've got to show you this tape. Come on, let me in. I attempted to explain what was happening to the stoned canine. All right. Don't know what the rush is, do you, but go right ahead. He coughed, inviting me inside his cluttered apartment with dirty clothes and candy wrappers littered all over the living room. I quickly turned off the blaring music, turned on the TV, injected the yoga tape from the VCR to put in episode 3 to prove I'm not going insane. Leaf and I both sat on the living room beanbag chairs to watch the tape together. On any other occasion, my only friend will start talking during a movie or go on a series of drug-induced ramblings. This time is different, and he knows it. Only pure silence in the apartment, apart from the episode beginning to play with the intro music playing 30 seconds longer than usual. Lucy herself appeared on the screen. The 3D rendering of a human girl began to go about the storyline of another episode. Finding lost apples. Along with Sunny, nowhere to be seen. However, Sunny's absence is completely ignored by the rendered human. Apples are very tasty. The flesh is better than the skin till you get to those hard cores. Can you help me find some apples? Lucy's relentlessly over-enthusiastic voice blared through the speakers, her head turning to face us. As the episode continued to play, the colours started to either become duller or brighter, with some colours causing a migraine from staring at the screen too long. In 3 scenes, new colours never imagined before were part of the furniture and the animated backgrounds. Was it brown? Is it a shade of blue? A colour the naked eye cannot see as a pigment beyond all logic on the screen. I rubbed my dry eyes to see the episode had temporarily returned to normal. The warm apartment began to get colder and colder by the minute. You messed up the thermostat. Leaf shuddered from the now freezing room temperature, getting up to check the thermostat in the living room. It's not the thermostat, I added after a short pause, standing up to see the golden retriever in disbelief, seeing that the thermostat was untouched until set to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Time to eat! I'm starving! 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 Lucy says joyously over and over again, her voice slowing down and glitching out until cut into silence as 2 bony arms extended out of the screen. Those arms. Those damn arms are smooth and hairless, leathery limbs with grey skin and 7 fingers on each of its malformed hands. What was once an episode playing now turned into mute static. The arms jerked forward, grabbing me by the legs. Leaf! Help me! Do something! I panicked helplessly, falling onto the floor and being dragged closer to the TV playing static. Kicking and struggling can only do so much to slow those arms down. Black spikes for claws digging into my shins. Leaf ran to grab me by the torso from behind, has now been pulled back and forth. Those arms from the TV are too strong compared to 2 grown men struggling with full force. Come on! Don't let me die! I yelped to my friend, keeping from being pulled into the TV. I'm trying too much, Leaf grunted, straining the sentence together. He's busy pulling me with me in a life-or-death game of tug-of-war. I kicked one of the arms off my left leg, seeing it recoil into the TV with my slippers before shooting back out the screen like a snake ready to bite. All those times I've prayed since I was a kid, all those Sundays I went to church with family, would it all be for nothing? I shut my eyes tight so I have to look at those arms, wanting me for nothing more than some prey to rip apart and devour through the screen. Leaf let go and caused me to open my eyes wide to cling onto the carpeted floor with every ounce of strength of my sweating hands. "What are you doing?" I panicked, looking at the golden retriever for an answer. "Yes!" Leaf shouted after a short pause while scrambling to unplug the TV, which the arms were coming out of. He yanked the power cords from the wall, powering the TV and the VCR in an adrenaline rush. The TV turned off and the VCR in turn exploded with a loud bang. The TV screen unexpectedly turned off. The arms were sliced off and went limp onto the floor, oozing out an oily black slime from its severed ends. I ripped the malformed large hands off of my shins, see those spiked claws had dug in. My legs were bleeding from the wounds onto the floor, but I was glad to still be alive. What that thing is, what the creature behind the screen whose arms were once attached to, I hope nobody ever knows, not even the worst people on planet Earth who ever exist. If I saw what it looks like in full, then I would become nothing more than lunch meat to that thing through the screen. The encounter alone was more than motivation to quit my job at Max Video and to steer clear of working in the video rental store. However that thing's next victim may be, won't be as lucky as I was. All I know is, there won't be a next time for me.